What is going on, guys? Your boy Joey 672 coming to you guys with a video right now. So I want to talk about obviously some old news, involving Carson Wentz, this Eagles offense, and obviously, I always ask myself this every day: is that did the Eagles know that this was going to happen from the start of drafting Jalen Hurts? Because honestly, when Jalen Hurts was drafted, okay. Howie Roseman talked about the QB factory. It was pretty much the press conference after the draft. And he's talked about the QB factory, that bringing in Jalen Hurts is, he thinks he's a valuable backup and a valuable quarterback in this offense. And, saying that they might use him in certain ways, which obviously we found out it really wasn't anything they were using him for. Really did show what this draft, especially drafting Jalen Hurts, was all about. Okay, you had a quarterback in 2016 that got drafted second overall. Okay, from a school that nobody would think to even draft Carson Wentz or think any highly of him in that regard. Okay. Obviously, 7-9 season, whatever it was, and it just wasn't good enough, and receivers were dropping balls, and it was just really bad. Offense was horrible. Then coming to 2017, Carson Wentz really, he took the offensive line, took his receivers out to Countryville, and did the offseason stuff that, he was doing and being that leader. And then obviously, playing really well and slugging the ball and just taking shots. And the guy was phenomenal. MVP of the year, definitely. No, there's no doubt about it. Without that injury, he'd be an MVP right now for that year, 2017. But come to Carson Wentz and what he's done since then, obviously the backup quarterbacks have played better than him. Obviously the injuries, 2018 came. He had the back injury, and he wasn't. And plus, going from 17 to 18, he wasn't even good. There was two injuries, but that one injury from 17 lingered into 18 while having that back injury on top of it. So it didn't help his case. He wanted to be a hero. He wanted to stay in there as long as he could until he couldn't anymore. And obviously the Eagles thought he's got to take some more time off. So Nick Foles comes in, brings us to a playoff game. I mean, it's just every backup quarterback that has come in here has been very successful very quickly. Now, some people are saying that this Carson Wentz wanting out of Philadelphia started in the middle of 2018, which it could have been. I don't know. Maybe he wanted to wait another year. 2019 came along. It was a hyped up year. We had Deshaun Jackson. We were ready to go. And, it all fell apart until the last month of the season, where we had over 15 injuries and literally had to win out the NFC East. The NFC East was the last remaining on our schedule for the month, and we had to win 4 games. We embarrassed ourselves at Miami a few weeks prior to that, and I think that Miami game was a nice little turnaround for that team and really backed the Eagles up into a corner and say, what are you guys going to do? Are you guys going to keep falling down? You guys are going to keep losing? So they won out the NFC East that last month of the season, made into the playoffs. Obviously, Carson Wentz played 8 snaps in that Seahawks wild card game, and then that was pretty much it. Then going into 2020, the off season, it was the top 100 players of the year before, and Carson wasn't in the top 100 at all, and Carson knew what was going on, and I thought that Carson would kind of avenge himself back into the league, put his name back into the league again. And I was, from what he did with those nobody receivers, Greg Ward being a fan favorite in that offense, and Michael, you have Burnett and Robert Davis and all these guys that just, you had a lot of young guys that, just wanted to get their shot. And Carson put that team on his shoulder at the last month of 2019, and we figured that good things were going to come out of it, and unfortunately it didn't happen. Okay, 2020 was just one of the roughest years, not even just football, but we all know with COVID and everything else going on, it was just, there was no grass time, there was no preseason. They were basing pretty much who was starting, who was not starting on two scrimmage games at the link. And, after that first game, I made a video and nobody liked it. Nobody liked it at all. And I said to everybody that something's wrong with Carson Wentz. something's wrong with Doug Peterson. There's something wrong because no one's on the same page. Up 17-0 against Washington, and we just fall apart. And we've been falling apart ever since that game. Okay, ever since that game. I don't think it started early, but I think the last straw, I think where it started was Jalen Hurts pretty much. I think it was really started when Jalen Hurts started, Carson was benched during that Green Bay game. I think that really showed that he, lost faith in the front office. And obviously the front office lost faith in Carson Wentz. At least Doug did and wanted to start Jalen earlier this season. And then obviously that didn't happen because I don't know what quarterback, and this isn't Doug's fault at all. Doug wanted Jalen Hurts to come play. After week 4 or 5 of the season, I would have benched him myself. If he was on any other team, if Carson Wentz was on any other NFL roster right now, he would have got benched easily. They would have made him play for that many games and messing up. And like I said, guys, for the ability to tie, because people like to stab me about this, is that I didn't put everything on Carson Wentz. It was Doug. It was the coaching. It was the scheme. It was the playbook. It was everything. And Howie Roseman on top of it because he didn't put the right players around him. We had no run game with Carson Wentz at all. Miles Sanders either had a few carries or barely any at all, or none of that matter. Okay? And it just got worse and worse and worse. And obviously, you saw a spark when Jalen Hurts got into a game. Earlier in the season, when Jalen Hurts would get the one snap per game, the 1 snap per game, whatever. And then there were times where they put Carson Wentz as a wide receiver, and we're all like, what are you doing? And then finally, when they took Carson Wentz out of there and they let Jalen Hurts roll with another receiver, as they should have, you saw a spark, you saw some excitement, and even the players got more excited. Miles Sanders got more excited. I mean, everything just changed, but it didn't last long because the playbook was bad. Everybody knows what we're doing. I mean, pretty much Doug created the blueprint with this new Eagles offense with Jalen Hurts after a couple games, and obviously, the Cardinals smelt us out, the Cowboys smelt us out. So I mean, it didn't last long. Okay, and that's why with this new coaching staff, I feel I'm really happy we have a brand new coaching staff. If Doug was still here, I would have no faith in this offense this year 100% because he does things his way, and that's it. We would have had Press Taylor as the OC, Matt Burke as a DC. I mean, it would have been a mess. Okay, it would have been a total mess. We wouldn't have hired anybody new, and I'm glad Jeffrey Lurie put his foot down, but he's not off the hook either. Okay, let's get that straight out. But when it comes to Carson Wentz, when he was done, I think the start of that 2020 season, and I think at least the first few games, but I think what put the icing on the cake where it pretty much broke him was pretty much that Green Bay game. It could have been earlier. It could have been 2018. Who knows at this point? Because then in 2020, you've been beat out by every backup that's come in and has played better than you. Okay? And everybody wants to talk about 2017 because 2017 was 4 years ago. I'm like, that's a big jump. It's not 2 years ago. It's not last year. It's 4 years ago. Okay, I see a totally different player, okay, at the same time. But look, I understand that this front office has issues of its own, and then hearing news about, Jeffrey Lurie's making all these decisions on these draft picks and not Howie Roseman, and Howie Roseman's not doing his job. And that's why Howie Roseman's here, a lot longer, the past, I'm just talking about the past few years. Okay, and if I find out that Jeffrey Lurie's been really making these draft picks, then Howie Roseman, I'm not saying he's none to fall for any of this, but then you're not letting the guy do his job. I mean, he's restructuring players. He's doing what he can to get under the cap and hopefully make a couple moves, and then you draft your top guy in the draft in 2021 next month. But I think Carson pretty much had enough. After he was benched in that Green Bay game, that was it. As soon as he got benched for the third time, the backup quarterback for the third time, Nick Foles twice, and then you had Jalen Hurts. I think that's when it just, he shut down, he was done, and he already knew what was going to happen at the end of the year. He knew what he was doing, he had a plan, and that's what happened. Because I always ask myself this every day, when did they know? Did they know? And then I just don't, I'm not even sure. Did the Eagles know that Carson was going to leave after 2020? I mean, Did they know it? But did they know it before the draft and we didn't know at all whatsoever? I have no idea. It's like they knew that he was going to play bad. It just set up so perfectly. It's like they knew he was going to play bad, and then he did. And then they already drafted a quarterback in the second round that obviously has dealt with a lot more adversity than Carson Wentz has ever have. Okay, Carson was injured when he was in college. Okay, he had shoulder injuries, and he's had injuries. He was off the whole, I think it was last or his junior year, whatever it was, with injuries, and he's always been the guy at North Dakota. You know, you have a guy in Jalen Hurts that was benched for another quarterback. Okay? Obviously came back into a championship game because of injury and just lit it up, you know, and then obviously moved from Alabama to Oklahoma, 52 touchdowns between, you know, obviously running and throwing the football. So if you see a quarterback deal with that and know how to jump over the hump to do it like Jalen Hurts can, mentally, that's just tough. And Carson did not show me that at all. Regardless of how bad your front office is, regardless, at the end of the day, if you have a player that wants to leave, he wants to leave, and that's it. Okay? Like, there's no going back. There's no trying to beg him to stay. Like, I'm glad that they got rid of Carson Wentz at the end of the day. I think it worked for both sides. Okay, obviously there's some fans out there that, you know, still think we made the wrong move, and it is what it is. The Carson Wentz era is over. I'm glad it's done. I'm glad that this dysfunction is over with, and we can move on with everything. Okay? I'm figuring that Green Bay game was the breaking point, and I think that was pretty much it. But for them to draft a QB in the second round, it just makes no sense to me, because maybe that was Jeffrey Lurie's pick more than anybody's pick in that second round. Okay, maybe Jeffrey Lurie is the one that didn't listen to the scouts. Maybe Jeffrey Lurie saw something that we didn't. Okay, and you know, maybe it worked out in the end, because for some reason, it just worked out that way. I know you could say, well, Doug's play calling was horrible, blah, 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 but I understand that it didn't work out for anybody. Offense, but your quarterback struggles, your whole team struggles, especially if you lose multiple games. That's the worst, because it travels throughout your whole team. And it was only a matter of time before not only our offense was playing that bad, our defense was going to play bad. Our special teams has always really played bad, hasn't played great in a long time. And the body language is a whole nother thing. It's like a team that's given up. We were the team the past few years, at the end of the year, we'd get real rowdy, fired up, and this team would just go on a run to get into the playoffs. We lost all that in 2020. We lost all of that. We have to rebuild ourselves from the ground up. Our foundation's got to be built before anything. Our culture has got to be built before anything. And how you do that is you bring in guys that are strong-minded. You bring in guys that are nice building blocks for your future. And you could be a contender in 2 to 3 years. Who knows? Okay, I didn't think from 2016 we were going to be in the Super Bowl the year after. Had no idea. I thought after 16 it was going to take us at least another 2 to 3 years. I said pretty much 2 years, and look what happened. Okay, let Howie Roseman do his job, and that's it. I trust, and you know what's crazy? I don't know who to trust more, Howie Roseman or trusting Doug Peterson with this offense. At least if Howie drafts guys that have some strengths, at least Doug can, at least Nick Sirianni can exploit these strengths from what they could do, other than him drafting somebody and then pretty much Doug having really not ounce of an idea of how to use that player. Okay, that's why Doug had to go. He didn't want any type of change. He can't hire his own staff. I don't even think he knows how to hire his own staff. He's too friendly with everybody, and that's just the truth, unfortunately. But hey, I always ask myself that question every day. But these things do happen. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. I appreciate everybody watching. It's been a long video. Appreciate it, guys. I will see you guys later. Shake Squad Up, Flawless Fly. Peace out, guys. Peace.